Welcome to chapter number 1 of the 360 Degrees Business Communication course. In this chapter, we'll be looking at the 4 different types of people and their ability to communicate effectively. We will also be looking at the 11 rules that will help you in developing your communication skills. Before we get into the chapter, let's understand the meaning of 360 degrees business communication. 360-degree business communication has several definitions and descriptions that vary from company to company and from individuals to individuals. It normally refers to a communication strategy developed and executed to serve all parties associated with the organization, such as employees, management, stakeholders, suppliers, partners, customers, consumers, publics, etc. A recent survey revealed that among the top 10 skills that are most important in today's academic and job market, communication skills are ranked highest. Communication skills are not only vital when it comes to your education or career growth, but being able to communicate effectively also affects your personal and relationship development. When it comes to communication, there are 4 types of people. Number 1, those who do not have proper knowledge about a specific subject, and they don't have the proper skills to share the knowledge with others. For example, you are asked to speak about diabetes. You don't have the proper knowledge about diabetes, and you don't have the skills to effectively share the knowledge with others. In this case, you fall in category number 1. Let's move on to category number 2. Category number 2 are those who have the knowledge about a specific subject, but they don't have the skills to share the knowledge with others. Let's take an example. You are asked to speak about diabetes. You have the knowledge about diabetes, but you don't have the skills to effectively share the knowledge. In this case, you fall in category number 2. Let's move on to the third category. The third category are people, those who don't have the knowledge about a specific subject, but they have the skills to share their knowledge. Let's take an example. If you are asked to speak about diabetes, you have the skills to effectively share the knowledge, but you don't have the knowledge about diabetes. In this case, you fall in category number 3. Now let's move on to the last category, the fourth category of people. The fourth category of people are those who have both the subject knowledge as well as the skills to share their knowledge with others. Let's take an example. You are asked to speak about diabetes. You have the knowledge about diabetes and you also have the skills to effectively share the knowledge. In this case, you fall in category number 4. Let's recap all the 4 categories. The first category, you have no knowledge and you have no sharing skills. Number 2, you have the knowledge, but you don't have the sharing skills. Number 3, no knowledge, but you have the sharing skills. And the last one is you have the knowledge and you also have the sharing skills. Now let's talk about the 11 essential rules that will help you in developing your communication skills. Rule number 1, be clear and concise. Whatever you are saying or writing, make sure that it serves a purpose and that the message is clear for you as well as the receiver. You don't need 1,000 words to say something important. Abraham Lincoln precisely used 286 words in the Gettysburg Address, and each one of those words was essential and powerful. Apply the KISSSS principle. Now, you might have heard of KISS and the KISSS principle, but here we are talking about the KISSSS principle. What's that? Keep it short, simple, straightforward, and stop. Now let's move on to rule number 2. Connect your audience as early as possible. Whether you are communicating with one person or a large group, it is important that your listeners see you as someone they can trust. Building trust is essential to getting your message across and will help the listeners to connect with you on a deeper level. The faster people know what you are trying to say or accomplish, the sooner they will decide whether they should engage with you or not. Now let's move on to rule number 3. Listen more than you speak. A lot of us assume that communication only refers to sending out signals or messages. On the contrary, communication is more about listening than it is about speaking. During your communications, zip your lips and listen carefully to the person for the purpose of understanding what he or she has to say. Learn to pay attention, focus on the speaker, watch for non-verbal cues and to what is being said. Active listening and proper eye contact shows the speaker that you are engaged. Listening helps others trust and respect you more. It improves your ability to understand messages and can enhance your personal and professional relationships. Let's move on to rule number 4. Understand your partner's communication preferences. What does that mean? Not everyone likes to communicate the same way. Texting might be favorite for some, but others would pick up the phone or engage face-to-face conversation. The communication preferences also depends on the age and generation of the person you are communicating with. The communication preference of a traditionalist who was born between 1924 and 1945 would be different from a baby boomer who was born between 1946 and 1964. Similarly, the communication preference of a Generation X who was born between 1965 and 1980 would be different from a millennial who was born between 1981 and 1997. In the same way, the communication preference of a Generation Z who was born after the year 2000 would have an entirely different communication preference. Rule number 5. Be respectful. Irrespective of age, color, nationality, or status, respect the person you are communicating with. It is rude to interrupt others while they are speaking, and it sends the non-verbal message that you have no respect for that person, their thoughts, or their ideas. Do not finish other person's sentence. Allow them to finish it themselves. For many people, this is a sign that you don't value or respect them. Let's move on to rule number 6. Check your body language. 80% of your communication is non-verbal. Only 20% of what you say is said with the words you speak. Everything from crossing your arms to wrinkling your face sends a message to the people you are communicating with. Your facial expressions are often your biggest informer when you are unhappy about a situation or disagree with a statement. To improve your communication skills, you must consciously pay attention to your face, your hands, your torso, and your feet while you're speaking. Focus on how your tone of voice drops or raises in certain situations and adjust that if you feel the need. Non-verbal communication such as pitch, volume, tone of your voice, and your defensive body language speaks louder than the words you use. If your words say, "Yes, I am open to new ideas," but your body language clearly shows that you are not ready to hear others' opinions, then your communication will break down. Most of your nonverbal communication will come naturally and subconsciously. There isn't much you can do to hide all your nonverbal forms of communication. Let's move on to rule number 7. Ask more questions. If you want to engage more people in your communication, start by asking more and better questions. Questions invite opinions, options, ideas, and feedback from the listeners. Questions tell other people that you care about their concerns and ideas. Let's move on to rule number 8. Use humor. Humor is important in any relationship. Don't make it a default. Use it appropriately. Let's move on to rule number 9. Speak with confidence. When it is your turn to speak, speak clearly and with correct volume. Never yell or whisper. When you whisper or speak quietly, it sends a message that you are frightened or scared. Being loud can annoy the other party. It tends to leave the impression you are arrogant. So, rather than speaking too loudly or too quietly, find the correct volume of projection. There's a difference between yelling and projecting your voice. That takes us to rule number 10. Address the other person's needs. Your message and delivery should match the listener's needs, values, and context. Your message should match the communication style of the situation and the other person's role as well. What does that mean? How you talk with your boss is different than how you would address a group of small children. Understanding the audience's needs and value is crucial to creating a message that can be heard and understood. This takes us to the very last rule, rule number 11. Respond to feedback. In all types of communication, you get feedback from the other party. This can be in the form of facial expressions, questions, open criticism, etc. All of this let you know if your message was heard or if you need to adjust and change. Paying careful attention to the feedback will help you improve your communication skills and better deliver your message in the future. So, let's recap all the 11 rules. Rule number 1, be clear and concise. Rule number 2, connect with your audience as early as possible. Rule number 3, listen more than you speak. Rule number 4, understand your partner's communication preferences. Rule number 5, be respectful. Rule number 6, check your body language. Rule number 7, ask more questions. Rule number 8, use humor appropriately. Rule number 9, speak with confidence. Rule number 10, address the other person's needs. And rule number 11, respond to feedback. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. If you are watching this on our membership site, please move to the next chapter. Thanks for watching. This is Farookh Sensei from farookhsensei.com. For our online courses and coaching programs, please see the link in the description below.